A $5 super thanks to get us going from CJ DeYoung III. What does that late first-round pick Green Bay get us on day 2? Thanks. It depends on what the offers are, how far down you want to go, but in general, the rough trade value is an early second and an early third. Not like 33, but more like 35, 36. Somewhere in that rough ballpark will put you in the conversation. So if you wanted to, you could trade down and simply recoup your second and third round pick that you lost. That is possible with that Packers pick, but depends on who's there, and we'll do plenty of mock drafts with trades, I promise you. If you want in to our weekly raffles, send in a $5 super thanks. If you can't watch live, you can get in on or via the super thanks feature. Like CT did. He just said thanks. Appreciate that. He's also CT99, which I assume is a Clone Wars reference, which if so, pretty fun. Richard Robinson, $5, says, Jerry said that changing DCs 3 years in a row was a mistake. I agree with that. But does that mean we're stuck with Eberflus for a while? A very similar super thanks came in, by the way, from whoever our next one is, from Marcus Arnold. Says, sorry, we cannot fire Matt Eberflus. The defenses will never get better with a revolving door at DC. 4 in 4 years will be disastrous. Right now we have 3 players set to fit 3 different systems. Adding players to fit a 4th is not the answer. So I get all of that. And my counter here is, if it's not going to work with Eberflus, then you cannot keep him. Like, if you have decided this is not going to work, you can't keep them just for the sake of continuity. If the continuity is bad play, then you cannot keep it. You have to make a change. That would kind of be the sunk cost fallacy of, well, you know what? We can't do it for the 4th time in a row. You actually have to. Because 4 in 4 years is bad. You know what's also bad? 4 in 5 years, when you intentionally kept the 4th year, even though you knew it was bad, because reasons. You didn't want to make another change. That would be a very bad process. Now, he's got half a season. Let's see how it plays out. I will give him some credit. He's done more to try to adjust his defense. He has made more changes and tried to be more, aware of adjustments than I think some DCs are, but there's still a lot of room to grow on that front. So I get you are right. You don't want 4 DCs in 4 years. But if you got the hire wrong, you have to move on and not just write it out because you don't want another change. So be honest with me. Do you want to keep Matt Eberflus? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Now, CJ, most of these coming in before the Quinnen trade, was unhappy with Cowboys ownership. Again, says the 2 other deals pertain to natural gas and Bitcoin. F you, Uriah, you jerk. Says deserved. And this is about Jerry. For most GMs, this would have been a wake-up call. If you're a franchise, they'll just buy more fracking rigs. F off, Jerry. Thanks. This team is a dumpster fire. It's been a dumpster fire for years and will continue to be a dumpster fire until the Jones family no longer owns it. They care more about glory holes than fans that made them their first billions. Piss off, Steven. F off, Charlotte. Y'all suck and have ruined America's team. Thanks. Also said, again, he was unhappy. This was after the Cardinals game, and I get it. He was right. This team is a joke, Tom. I've been saying it for before the year started. Jariah is more concerned about his gas oil deals than his football franchise that afforded him to do all these other deals. He said it out loud. He'd rather be playing oil tycoon than fixing the Cowboys defense. What more do we need? Stop buying Cowboys gear. Stop an organization that's obviously doesn't care about winning, its fan base winning or championships. I get it. And if you are ever upset with the Jones boys, you can always type in FJB. And also, a lot of these came in like after a loss, which is, hey, you get 24 hours to vent however you need to vent. Trust me on that front. Eli Aaron, also mad at Jerry Jones. What if I told you Jerry makes more money not being aggressive and spending money and not making a pass scrimmage game and doing nothing in free agency when he won the 2 Super Bowls? That is true, by the way. Jerry's made comments that he was surprised that it took him longer to kind of break even after the Super Bowl win. But it's also a different era now. How does this? He does it on purpose. He gets more attention because he won those Super Bowls. He gets to sit back and do nothing. He doesn't want a Super Bowl. He wants attention. Jerry Jones is smart for this. There's nothing we can do till the day he dies. It's literally a rage-baiting scheme so he gets people like Stephen A. talking about him and the comments he makes on podcasts. Why do we expect him to change? We're never going to win Super Bowls as long as he's at the throne. We're supposed to get the phone call and be served. That's not managing. It's being comfortable with where you're at, thinking you made everything happen in the 90s. We want him to be urgent when he's everything he needs. He doesn't care for fans. He only cares about himself. The frustration in general, I get. It is completely valid. There is a lot of truth into they have their budget. Jerry's biggest lie is that he'd spend any amount of money on a Super Bowl. I don't think that's true. He'd spend a reasonable amount and he spends it the way on the stuff he wants to spend it on. Joseph, if Pickens leaves or stays, how about Isaiah Satenga out of Oklahoma? Different type of receiver. I think he's a junior. He doesn't have to go pro. I think he's a redshirt junior. Has their eligibility. I feel like he's very different than Pickens. Like, I'd want a bigger body outside guy. That's not Isaiah's game. Fun player, though. Very fun college player, part of an OU offense that's been a little inconsistent since Mateer came back. CJ did like they all gathered in a retirement home comment about Pete Carroll, which, I might send that one to Mitch and tell him to use. So, Steve-O says, you win 3 straight games and the conversation changes. We'll see. Your next 3 games, Raiders, very winnable. But then you've also got the Chiefs and Eagles. And if you win those games, yes, we are all back in it. Not Eagles, Chiefs in that order. That's not going to be a very easy one to win. So do keep an eye on that one. Many of you have asked where I wear the Cowboys hoodie that I sometimes wear on air. This isn't the same one. It's about as close as I've found since the model I have they no longer make. 40% off on these Cowboys hoodies and more when you go to chatsports.com/Cowboys hoodies. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's chatsports.com/Cowboys hoodies. Link in the comments section and the description of today's show. Lots of hoodies, sweatshirts, quarter zips, you name it, currently on sale. From CJ, just says FJB. I always appreciate that, CJ. Thank you very much, my friend. Cheers to you. The frustration will never, ever stop here. William Cook says, maybe Jerry does more to help this team justify the Micah trade. He has to prove he made the right decision. The Cowboys are not catching the Eagles, so go Packers for a draft pick. Reasonable, in terms of the Monday Night Football fallout there on Monday's show before the game. I do think that there is a very strong argument that part of this is about the fact that Jerry wants to be right. That's what he wants at his core. He wants to be right and for everyone to know he was right. Because he went different on the Schottenheimer hire. He went different on the Micah trade. It'd be nice if they finally did actually pursue a window to win a championship, what they haven't really done in the Dak or Romo eras. They haven't really pushed the same way other franchises have. Will they do it? We'll see. Now, for more of the best Dallas Cowboys content on YouTube, hit that sub button if you haven't already. YouTube.com/Cowboys TV. Multiple videos each and every single day. Brendan, would you draft a running back in the first round? If it's Jeremiah Love, probably. He would, depending on where I'm drafting, assuming it's 12 or something, he'll probably be the best player on board. It's kind of like the Bijan Robinson conversation all over again. If he's there, the Genti, he's your best player, you probably just do it. You've also seen the issues in Las Vegas of they have not done a very good job. Even with Genti, they've had issues there. I do think defense in general, if it's Love or Caleb Downs, I'm taking Caleb Downs. I don't think Love's going to be there probably. I'm not going to reach for anybody else. I might just pay Javonte a little bit, not to worry about it anyway. But I do think defense should be your focal point unless there's a surprise slide. The Basement Boys, 16% chance for the Cowboys if we win the next 2. That gives you a chance. You have to win. I will play my must-win card against the Raiders, though. I will play it this week because I didn't tend to use it last week, so I'm using it now. MC, why is the Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez not getting as much hype when he has such high production? I think it's a couple reasons. The biggest of which is I do wonder how he's going to do in the height, weight, speed profile stuff. I don't think he's a burner. He's listed at 6'1", 230. He might be more like 6 foot 225, which is small and light for a linebacker. But he is very productive. I don't know if he is the fastest player of all time, but he is always consistently around the football. If you can get him with, a day 2 or somehow a day 3 pick, I am all for that. That guy's just a good football player. Crimson Cowboy, I like the direction of the defense for the first time, it feels like in a long time. Higher rate of odd fronts. That's, by the way, if you don't know, that's like essentially 3-4 looks, which could be 3 down linemen and 2 edges, or 3 DEs and 2 DTs. The Cowboys have done both of those there. Higher rate of odd front looks should help disguise pressure better. Need more match. This is match coverage is kind of, if you go follow Cody Alexander for some good insight there. I like match coverage. If you have high football IQ players, it allows you the best of both worlds with what you're able to show and then deploy afterwards. I like it a lot. Match quarters has been very popular these days, which is like kind of play man, but also kind of not play man. It's fun. I like that idea. We'll see what other deployments we get out of Eberflus post-bye week. Will the Cowboys sign any free agents, just in general? There are some players who are out there. Will they go add somebody? A for yes, B for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. A for yes, B for no. Will the Cowboys go sign any free agents this offseason or this season? Richard Robinson, since we haven't had much success drafting in the second, does it make sense to trade down with the Packers pick? Depends on what you get. If there's an obvious player you want, just sit and pick them. It's fine. I think in general, though, I want more cracks at it. You also haven't drafted that great the back end of round 1 either, of late. Think you got one right on Ezeraku. We'll see about Guyton. I think it's too early to declare that one way or the other. You can write off Mozzie. He ain't going to write back. But that second round pick history has been problematic. Might do a full video on some of your misses. There's different reasons for several of them, but you can't get scared at some point. I joke about just don't draft in the second round, but if you get a good trade value to move back, you should consider it because it gets you 2 extra picks. Or you can always just trade down again in round 2. All right? You can always trade down again.